Hello kids, here I am ready for our paint and picnic. Now I'm sorry it's later than we thought it was going to be starting, but I've had a bit of a nightmare at the studio today and I absolutely have no Wi-Fi. So there is no, not Wi-Fi, there is no mobile reception over there. So I was supposed to be doing a birthday party this afternoon and I ended up having to stop midway and bring all my materials to the garage to do my birthday party in the garage because I could not get any reception. So I can't do the Facebook Live from the garage, from the studio, which means I won't be able to do tonight's one from the studio either. So I'm going to do it from home, and which means that I've had to then think, okay, how am I going to do today's paint and picnic? So the picture that we're going to be doing is Keith Harring's party, and I've called it the ISO dance party because obviously we're in isolation. So we're still going to do it, but I don't have paints home here at the moment because all my stuff is at the studio, but I do have watercolor pencils. So I'm going to do mine, I'm going to draw it and then I'm going to color it in pencils and then I'm going to use a watercolor brush to turn it into paint. If you guys have got acrylics or poster paints and you want to use that, then that's fine. When I'm coloring mine in, you can start off with your paint straight away. All right, but let's start off with the drawing part. So I'm going to flip it round. So this is the picture we're going to do, Keith Harring's ISO dance, and it's super easy because it's all shapes. So it's a really nice one to do. A whole group of figures, and once you get used to how Keith Harring does his figures, you can do any of your figures in any shape you want. So you could almost do an image of your mum or your dad or yourself or whatever. But let's start off with a funky person at the front, okay? So we're going to draw a ground level, a horizon or the floor, and we're just going to go right across like this, like that. Don't worry if it's not super straight. Keith Harring was a graffiti artist, so it was all done with big brushes and things like that, so it wasn't perfectly drawn at all. Okay, now we are going to use a circle shape and we're going to do a head. So I'm going to put a head in up here. And I'm going to do it super lightly. I'm just going to put an extra light on, if I can find it. Where's the light switch for that? Hang on. Just go over to the other side of my lounge. That's better. And put my extra lights on so there's not so many shadows. Okay, so you can see I'm doing it on my dining room table. Okay, here we go. So we've got that shape. Now I want you to do a square. So a square underneath. It's more like a rectangle shape. And then a long rectangle for one leg. And a long rectangle for another leg. And this type of drawing, there is no softening of any lines. It's really odd and really peculiar, okay? Then we're going to have one rectangle out here with a circle on the end. And one long rectangle out here with a circle on the end. So that's his arms jumping up. Then we're going to have an oval for 1 foot. So this guy is jumping in the air. Hey! And to make his head look like it's turning down, we've got a short curve here, down and around and under. So that's our first guy. Our second guy is going to be over here, and he's going to do a bit more of a funky kind of chicken dance with his arms like this. Whoop, whoop. So we're going to pop his head here. Let's do a circle. And we've got a guy that's going to do a dab in a minute, which is even cooler. Okay, we go rectangle straight out. And then a rectangle straight down. And then we turn his hand to go that way. A bit like dance like an Egyptian. Do, 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 do. All right, now let's put in his body. Again, another square shape. And this arm is going to go right up. So I'm going to put a rectangle in like this. And we're going to make it go all the way down. And his hand is going to go that way. So he's doing his funky chicken dance. And this guy has got one leg kicking up and one leg on the bend. He's sort of, well, my brother-in-law in the UK, Brian Lever, he's kind of dancing a bit like Brian Lever. Kind of funky chicken dance. So this is like a letter Z, isn't it? like a bit like a Z bend. And there's his foot at the bottom. This guy straight out at the knee, down at the knee bend, straight across there, down at the knee bend, and then his foot goes that way. So that's our funky chicken dance. Then we've got our jumping man. Okay, this is the dab dude. So dab dude is going here. All right, head's bopping along here. What sort of music do you think he's going to be listening to, this dab dude? Something funky? Uptown funk maybe? His shoulder goes up here. Now, this arm is slightly different. So instead of it being a rectangle, I'm going to do it more like a triangle shape, that one there. Then we curve his shoulder. So he's hunched down, curving his shoulder. This is his head here. And his arm goes back that way like the dab. Parallel line. And then an awkward looking hand, because Keith Harring does awkward looking hands. Now his body is having a right old wiggle with the dab. So it curves through here, under his bottom. So he's having a right twist. And then we get this knee in here, and it comes back. Does that Z bend again. And he's having that real sort of awkward shuffle. This arm is right down there, and then the side of him comes out there. Knee follows the Z bend, and a second foot in there. So you can see he's starting to do those dabs. Beautiful. Stick his hand in there. That hand's going backwards. So you've got 3 random guys now doing the shuffle, doing the dab dance. All right. Let's do the flick over. The flick over. So he's got a head here. All right. Head there. One arm going right up in the air and bending over that way with a random hand. It's like doing a lamppost, that one. The lamppost dance. And then stretched right down. Okay, now we're going to do the letter L. Here's a letter L. There's the letter L for that hand. Turn it into a P at the top, the letter P. And then down, and we'll do the underside of the L. So that's his arm going up and over his head. Okay, he's got a bit of a wobbly tummy as well. So he's going to be wobbling out that way, and his bottom's wobbling that way. Doing a bit of a funky dance into his tummy, and his legs are a bit longer, so he's not scooching down as much as this dude here, the dab dude. He's got a bit of a longer bend. 2 legs in the middle, and then 1 foot there, and 1 foot there. It's kind of like my wedding was, I think, the disco of the dads at my wedding. And the last guy at the end, he's going to be here. And he's going to have his arm up. He's going to be doing the Egyptian dance as well. Walk like an Egyptian. Bum, ba-da-ba-bum, bum. So I've had a nightmare. I was doing this fabulous party for my friend in Sydney, and I just had no mobile reception whatsoever in my studio. I don't know what's happening. Maybe there's too many people Zooming. There's too many people playing... What are my kids playing? Roblox or whatever it is they're playing. Too many people using the mobile, and I just had no reception whatsoever. So I had to ditch the party, come home, and do it home here. So that's why I'm home in my dining room. Here's the loungelet, nice and quiet. Everybody see, there's the dinner for later. And back to the picture. Okay, so now I'm going to go over it with my black liner. Now, if you are going to be painting this, you want to do your black at the very end, okay? Don't use your black now. You're going to do your colours next. But if you're not painting it and you're going to be using felt tip pens or you're drawing like I am, then now you could use a big black chunky marker, and we're going to add in all of these lines. And the one thing that Harring has on his pictures is lots of kind of movement action lines. So we're going to add in some of those, and that helps to show that his figures are moving and dancing. The disco that I used to go to when I was a kid is called the Drum Major. dodgy country disco. It's now called, what is it called? Eclipse. And I tell you what, after a few country ciders, we're all dancing like this, my boys, I tell you. In Cornwall, this is the dance of the Cornish folk after a few ciders. All right, so Mr. Dab guy is dabbing away. I reckon this is every kid's embarrassing parent dance, really, don't you? So kids, if you're using textures or pencils, you can use your black pen like I am right now to go over your drawing. If you're going to paint with it, then do your black lining after you've done all of your colour, okay? It'll look much better. Otherwise, when you start to use your colour in a minute, all the colours are kind of bleed and not look so good. So I'm using coloured pencils this afternoon because I'm home and all my paints are in the studio, and as I said, I didn't have any mobile reception. Look at this guy stretching up. Woohoo! What a funky dude. Staying alive, staying alive. What, staying alive. I think he is. I think he's rocking it too. That guy on the end. Okay, so we've done all of that. I'm now going to draw the line across the bottom in. So go over my drawing line. And then I'm going to rub out all of my pencil lines. I'm going to put some spots in because that's what Harring has on this drawing for the carpet. Like that. So I'm just doing this for the kids' paint and picnic. And then I'm going to sort our kids out because our actual painting this evening for Saturday Paint and Sip is an Irish cottage. We're going to be using paper and watercolours this week, just because I know that there's a lot of you at home using watercolours, and I've been doing canvas and acrylics for most weeks. So me and the kids and David, we're all going to be using paper, paper, paintbrush and watercolour paints today. So those of you at home can learn with me doing watercolours. All right, so that bit's there. Now let's add in some of those movement lines. Swoosh, swoosh. This shows the action, the dancing, and the movement of the figures. So we do a long swish and a short swish like that. A long swish, 2 short swishes. 1, 2, 3 there. Kind of doing it around where the feet and the arms would be moving so that you get that impression that they're having a good old disco dance together. Like that. That one. That one. Let's make his bottom jiggle. All right. So I'm now just going to use my rubber and I'm going to rub out the guidelines of my people. Like this. It's a really nice picture, this. Once you get to know how Keith Harring does his figures, he does the same structure of figures for dogs and cats, and he creates really unusual kind of political statements. Kids, political statements is just a posh way of saying, I'm going to draw a picture that is about something. So it's using something, a subject, to create a picture about. So it might be, you could do a picture like this, using yourself working from home, doing your homeschooling. That would be a political statement about what's going to be happening next week, which is going to be a challenge for us all, let's be honest. That's the reason why I called this the ISO dance party, because I'm sure there's a few people on a Saturday night after a wine or two that are putting the music up, can't go to the clubs or the pubs, or can't go out with their mates or have a catch up. And so they're probably having a little disco dance in their lounge. So this is my ISO lounge party. Right. Oh! I just seen what you said, Nikki, that your daughter, gorgeous little Emily's gone and bought acrylics ready for you to do sip and paint. That is hilarious. So last week you had not a paintbrush or a piece of paint in your house, and now you're ready to go with acrylics. Wowsy, wowsy. That's awesome. Well, that's okay. I mean, when I was using acrylics last week, we had people using watercolours. I'm going to be using watercolours this week. You just use acrylics. Everybody's picture comes out slightly different, and that's the beauty of it. Instead of it being exactly the same for everybody. Everybody's got a slightly different take on it, looks slightly different, and that's what makes it look fantastic. So that when everybody's posting all their pictures, we're getting to see how different it all looks right around the world, and I love that. At the end of the day, the drawing part of it is the most critical, and that's what I'm showing you. But the painting part, if you want to, you know, paint the tree green, paint the tree green. If you want to paint the tree purple because you want it to match your bedroom, then that's fine. I want you to make those sort of choices. It's a really, that is what art should be about. I've got a beautiful friend here in the Gap called Catherine Nutkick, and today she sent me a picture of her Picasso that she has been painting for probably about the last week on and off. And I obviously just did it on a small canvas, and you guys were following some people on paper. Some people were doing, I think I had somebody doing coloured pencils, somebody else were doing textures. Anyway, she had 3 old canvases at home, giant ones, like 1 metre tall canvases. 1 metre? 2 metres, I think they were. No, that's as tall as me. No, but they were about 1 metre. And she has divided the picture into 3, and she's done 3 canvases, which look fantastic. All right, so you can see Keith Harring's work. He uses solid, bright primary colours. He also does an awful lot of black and white pictures. So these colours are really great for kids. They love them. They're really bright. Even though, you know, he was doing this sort of 50 years ago, it's really timeless, his work. It still looks really funky, really modern. Kids love doing it. It's really geometric, so it's really easy for them to get really good results. And once they get the idea of his figures, then you can go off and you can do your own kind of little storyboards. You can do your own pictures. It's great. It's an easy way to do kind of graffiti art. So you could do some lettering on top of this, create some lettering on the top to make it look like it's got a bit of a story. You could do speech bubbles on it and let them chat between each other. So this guy here, Mr. Crazy Arms, he's going to be red. So if you're painting, kids, when you're changing your colours, make sure you wash out your brush really, really well, okay? So that you don't get that horrible grey, browny colour when it goes all murky. You want to make sure your colours are nice and bright if you're painting in between. Okay, getting a nice strong colour for this guy. And the background, I'm not going to colour so intently. I'm going to colour it over and then use my water to just watercolour it and fill it in. That's number 4 done. And the last guy is going to be pink, I think. Let's go this colour. More like a tangerine orange. There we go. I tell you what, when you're using pencils and you're pushing this hard to get this sort of brightness to come out of the pencil, you don't have to get finger ache. It does actually hurt when you're pushing this hard. So, like I say, I was supposed to be doing this in paint today, but because I've got no mobile reception, there is just no way I can go over to the studio. I don't know what's happening, but there's no reception and it's a car crash. So I had to think on my feet and think, what am I going to do? And this was the best way, all right? So I'm now going to put green across the bottom. I might try a different green, actually, a darker green, so it's different than this guy. And we're going to go with the side of our pencil and go right across the bottom. You could do this in textures, you could do it in paint, you could do it in pencil. All of it would work really well and really brighten up your kid's bedroom. And I'm going to show you. So for the background, I'm going to do it in yellow. And I'm just going to do really loose, scribbly drawing like this. because I'm going to use my water in a minute, and because these are watercolor pencils, I'll be able to just bleed the color into the background. Now, because I have done my black lines, I'm going to have to be super careful that I don't touch those too much. Otherwise, we're going to have a bit of black line bleeding. But I'm not going to lose too much sleep over that. Doesn't matter, does it? Okay, scribble it down there. The yellow really pops those color figures forward. Our ISO dance party. Ooh. So that's it. We're nearly towards the end of the Easter holidays, and then we're homeschooling next week. Heaven help us all. It's going to be crazy for the kids and crazy for the mums. I don't know how it's going to work out, but we'll figure a way. I've run out of colour. I need to sharpen that pencil, but hopefully that's enough. Okay, now let me get my paintbrush and let's see if we can make that background. Here we go. So I'm actually using a makeup brush. Look, I haven't even got my paintbrush home here, but a makeup brush is just as good. And I'm just gonna fill in that background to make it all beautiful and yellow. Just like the painting. So, although I haven't done a painting today, it's very different than the other little show and tells that we do. It's a really nice, bright, happy ISO dance party. My figures are having a happy time. And like you say, you could put faces on them if you wanted to. You could make them look like members of your family for a laugh. You could do different shapes than I've done here. If you've got a different kind of dance move that you want to do, you could put them in a different kind of dance move. But if you stick to those structures of rectangles and circles, then you won't go far wrong, all right? That really helps you to get the dimensions of your figures correct. Get rid of all that white paper. Okay, last bit round the top here. You can feel the energy, can't you? It's a happy picture. I think the yellow is what makes it super happy and super bright and super cheerful. And these figures look like, oh, they look like they're having a right old party. A right old party on a Saturday night. All right, let's do the floor. Let's get that all blended. You can see that all my scribbles now, when I use this water, it just beautifully mixes together and you get that lovely soft color all merged in. Super easy. I absolutely love watercolor pencils. They're so great. No mess at home. The kids feel like they've achieved a beautiful painting, and really it's just a drawing with a bit of water. So it's really easy for kids to get great results with watercolor pencils. So I'm just going over the figure now. And when you go over the figure, it just, any white bits that you hadn't perhaps colored in first, the water just sort of merges. Brian Lever's watching. Hello, Brian. You must have had your ears burning, because I was just saying that in my dance party, that little orange guy dances just like you. I said, this is like a dance party from my wedding, I reckon, when everybody was had a few too many beers. Here we are. Let's do Brian. His dodgy dancing. Let's do the red guy. He's definitely had a few too many, hasn't he? And you can see that all those lines, the streakiness of the colour has gone and just blended because of the watercolour pencils. But because I did colour them in really strong and I was really put a lot of pressure with my fingers, then I've got really intense colour. And that's it. That is my Keith Harring ISO Saturday night dance party. Whoa, that's awesome. Super easy, super quick, 20 minutes, little bit of a painting, little bit of a drawing, fun for everyone. Hope you enjoyed that, kids. I'll be back at 7 o'clock for the adult sip and paint. But like I say, it will be a little bit different because we're going to do it from home. No mobile reception over there, so we're all locked in together. All right, see you later. Bye.